Hello, my name is Peter Parfitt. Welcome to the New Brit Workshop and this workshop notes video number 18. Now I want to go straight in with something that's happened on YouTube recently, and that is that you can no longer send private messages on YouTube. It used to be an option. You would go to a YouTube channel's about and click on send message, and then you could send a private message. That's been withdrawn now. YouTube have done it for some reason, I do not know why. So the only way of getting hold of a YouTube creator is via the normal comments section. So if you need plans from me, please remember I need your email address. You're going to have to send it in the public domain. If you wish me to remove your post, which has your email address on it, as soon as I've dealt with it, please let me know in that comment that you send, so that as soon as I've sent the plans off to you, I can then go back and delete the message that contains your email address. Sounds complicated, but it's not. There we go. Right, the next one today is I've been asked about push sticks. And now you've probably seen me using all sorts of push sticks, and there's three that I want to show you. I'm going to start with the basic two. This is one which is a direct copy of a push stick which came with one of my machines a long time ago, and this is just made of simple wood. I've rounded it off so it's nice and easy to grip. But the key thing about it is this section here. You can see there's a sort of right angle cutout there. That allows you to be able to not only push something along, but also push downwards at the same time. So it gives you two directions of controlling the stock that you're feeding into whatever machine it might be. And I've copied that on this push stick, which is slightly different. This one I use quite a lot on my small table saw, and this end gets beaten up a lot because this gets pushed in sometimes right into the blade to get the last piece of my thin bit of stock through, which I'm cutting at that time. One other push stick, and I think I may have shown this before, when I'm using the router table, particularly with thin small pieces of wood, I've got this push stick. A handle here and then a block of wood, and in the block of wood is a V groove. I bring it up a little more closely to the camera, you'll see that V groove, and that allows me at about a 45-degree angle to push this along, and that then is fairly safe to use. Now I've been asked quite a few times how to do repeat cuts, cuts of the same dimension many times in a row using the MFT3 or your own custom Traxor cutting station. Well, it's actually very easy. I've marked my piece of wood here, and I want to do some repeat cuts which are 198 millimeters in length. So if I've measured exactly 198 there, that means that the piece of wood I want has got to be on that side of my cut. Otherwise I've got to take account of the thickness of the saw blade, the kerf. So all one does is you set it up so that's on the left. I've got some bench dogs at the back here against which I can push my piece of wood. And you can have the bench dogs to the right or to the left as long as they're not in the line of the cut. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this up. Here's my guide rail. I've got the Parf Super Dogs there and there, and guide rail goes on. And I'm now just going to get this in place so that I can see my pencil line. My pencil line is just there now, so that is exactly where it should be. And I've now got a spare piece of wood, which is square, perfectly square, because this top was made with the Parf guide system, so I know it's perfectly square. And I've got, again, a pair of Parf Super Dogs here, but this time I've put the 25mm boss on them so that it's in a dead straight line with the ones which are already down there. It doesn't really matter because this piece of wood could be against any dogs anywhere as long as it's at right angles. So I've now got that pushed into the right place on my pencil line. I've now pushed this against it, and all I have to do now is to clamp this in place. And I use two clamps because if you're in a hurry and you're doing lots of cuts, the chances of knocking this piece of wood as you slide the next piece over here to be cut in is pretty high. So that's it, nicely held. That's in position, so I can now do a cut there and then remove the cut piece and then shove this along a bit more and so on. Lots of repeated cuts. Now, I quite often get asked about the glue that I use. Now, 98% of the time I'm using PVA. I tend to buy Titebond because it's readily available here in the UK. It's also very good. And I usually buy it from woodworking shows where you get a bit of a discount, which is quite useful. In some of my older videos, you may have seen this bottle. I've now pulled the label off, but it was from a non-UK product of some glue. It was the bottle I liked, and I kept on refilling it with Titebond, so don't get confused there. Another glue I use quite often is Cascamite, and I bought this from Screwfix here in the UK. Buying a big tub like this is quite expensive. And actually something you might not wish to do. They do smaller tubs, which is probably a better way of buying it because of shelf life. It comes in the form of a powder. If I take the lid off, you can probably see in there it's a powder, and you mix it with water and you end up with a paste about the same consistency as PVA, and then you can use it in the normal way. Its drying time is about an hour. It shouldn't be used below about 15 degrees centigrade, which is about a couple of degrees warmer than one can use ordinary PVA. But the results are really good, and it is waterproof. I just glued these two bits together, and there's no way I'm going to be, well, I'm in fact breaking it at this knot, but there's no way I can separate those two. And the same with this MDF I've joined together here. And that really is an absolutely super duper joint. So it's a very strong glue, slightly fiddlier because you've got to mix it with water. When I mix it with water, I use a little plastic container like this. And if you just leave it, what's left over in the tub, when it dries, you can lift it out and use the tub again. Now, as an aside, you may have noticed I had this clamped up like this, and with this Bessie clamp, I was able then to use the holes in my MFT3 to hold that upright so that any residual glue wasn't going to run off everywhere. And the same with this one. So it's quite useful having the old clamp that fits down into these holes. Now, the MFT3 and benches like it really do have a lot of utility about them because of all those holes, and you can use them for so many different things, including all my bench tops and things like that. I also from time to time use impact adhesives, and this is a product sold in the UK called Eva Stick, and basically it's a glue that you apply to both surfaces of the things that you want to bring together. You let it dry and then you bring them together, which is fine, but there are a lot of fumes involved in this particular type of glue. It's particularly good if you're trying to join something like Formica sheeting onto, say, MDF, and you coat it on both sides. It's pretty good, but no naked flames anywhere near it. If I'm trying to join paper products, and sometimes I actually stick paper on top of a piece of wood so that I then have an accurate layout for holes and things that I can then drill from the markings on the paper. I use a glue like this called Copydex. I don't know how it's sold or what it's sold as in other parts of the world, but it's a bit like a wallpaper paste in a sense. It's just a water-based glue. And I use a lot of epoxy glues. They come under various names. Probably the most common name is Araldite. But other epoxies, two-part glues are used. And they come in different types for different purposes, but the one I use most is the Araldite Rapid, which goes off within about 5 or 10 minutes, depending on the temperature. And I always leave a little bit on the stick, on the piece of paper that I've used to mix it on, so I can just check to see if it's gone off before I start handling whatever it is I've been trying to glue. Now, one of the things I've bought recently, I went down to the Axminster store in Axminster itself in Devon, and I saw this precision D-head protractor. And I'd actually seen the prototype probably a few months earlier, and I was rather impressed. I rather liked the simplicity of it. It's got a graduated scale here which goes from 0 to 180 or 180 back to 0 again, whichever way you look at it. There's a little tightening knob here in the middle which you can use to hold it in a particular position, and it's quite reasonably accurate for such a small device. I'll give you an idea. You may remember with the isometric MFT3 I made this little block up as a demonstration. I'll put that on there and tighten that up, and you should be able to see, if I bring it up nice and close, that's dead on 120 or 60, whichever way you look at it. And so it's reasonably accurate, you know, to within perhaps half a degree, maybe even a quarter of a degree, which is frankly all you need with a device of this size. Now, whilst I've been filming this video, the temperatures here in the UK over the last 3 or 4 weeks have been up in the 30-degree mark, and the workshop isn't very much cooler, and I've got no air conditioning at all. So please bear with my slow progress, and I hope to see you again very soon. Thank you very much for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.